Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, thanks for stopping by. We're going to get right into it today because we have a lot going on in this video. A lot of my clips are sped up because I didn't think you would want a 45-minute video. So we are starting with two 20-ounce straight tumblers from Tumbler Supply Store, and I just prepped them like normal, and I glittered them with just by adding glitter from Diamonds and Dust into my epoxy. So the black one has black glitter and just a tiny hint of champagne luster dust to give it just a sparkle of gold. And then the white has angel wings, and they are cured and ready for these next steps. For the black tumbler, we're doing a diamond or an argyle pattern, and on the white tumbler we're doing more of just a square plaid shape for the design. Once they were cured, I measured with the epoxy on there, so I knew exactly how wide to make my pattern and how tall I wanted them to be, and I cut them out of stencil vinyl and placed them on with some transfer tape on each of the tumblers. If you don't have stencil vinyl, you can also use removable vinyl, which I almost wish sometimes I had done for this black one because the stencil vinyl is sometimes hard to see, but I'll show you a little trick that I did to help me see it better. We are just going to do our normal hinge method for the application of this not transfer tape for the stencil vinyl, and at the very end when we get around, I'm going to peel back some of the transfer tape so that the stencil vinyl doesn't lay on top of that transfer tape. I'm using my felt edged squeegee to really help push down that transfer tape with the vinyl to try to avoid as many bubbles as possible. After we get that pattern applied to the black tumbler, then we are going to move in and apply the squares to the white tumbler. For the white one, I didn't want the plaid square checkers to go all the way to the top, so I only did it a little closer to 3/4 of the way up, and I wanted the top thick rim to be all white. So I just applied the stencil vinyl with transfer tape the same way on the white that I did with the black one. And then the reason I'm using stencil vinyl is because each individual little diamond or square I'm going to be replacing with either a pattern vinyl or a glitter or a mica powder or foil, so that we get all the different patterns and textures together. And this was the easiest way that I could think of to do it and apply it all on the same level without having to epoxy between each different technique. Because the stencil vinyl has lines in it as well, I was afraid I was going to mix something up, so I just took a Sharpie and labeled each square. And for the black one, I took a gold paint marker and made a little squiggly line and numbered those as well, just so I could kind of know how many of each design I wanted to use. So I took my total number of shapes and then kind of decided, okay, I want 2 vinyl, or I want 4 vinyl, or I want 1 glitter, etc. So that way it was just easier to keep track in my brain. So starting off with the black tumbler, I just went in and peeled off the ones that I wanted to do first, and I painted them with a paintbrush using foil glue, and I let those dry. And then once, actually before the paint was, or the glue was dry, I removed all of the squares or diamonds that were around it because I didn't want the glue to dry to those and then rip it up. So once those were dry and I helped them along with my heat gun, I took this luster dust from Diamonds and Dust. It is champagne color, and I took a gloved finger and I just rubbed it right over that glue to give it a different kind of a texture. I thought it would be fun to kind of rub it in versus just pouring it on or painting it on with a paintbrush. Once I was finished with the diamonds for this technique, I did take a paper towel and I just kind of cleaned up around the edges so it gave it a crisp, clean line. And then I just randomly went in with my different textures I wanted for the diamonds. I cut pattern vinyl that matched in the color theme of this black and gold that I was going for. I added some different glitters from Diamonds and Dust, and then I also added some foil from Artistic Painting Studio, and I think that was all the different textures I used for this one. I didn't really have a specific plan on where I was going to put every single different texture when I started this, so I kind of was winging it. So I just kind of went in with the luster dust first, and then I did a glitter, and then I added some vinyls, and then I went back and added a little bit more glitter. And the only thing, I loved all these patterns of vinyl. The only thing I wanted to change a little bit was this black vinyl with the white hearts, which is also from Diamonds and Dust. I wasn't so much going for the black and the white look, so I still added it. And then at the very end, I took my foil glue and added it right over the white hearts, and then used some gold foil and just covered it so it looked like it was black vinyl with gold hearts. Some of the vinyls are also from Tech Wrap Crafts, the textured gold and the textured black, and then some of the vinyls are also from AB Designs Co. Once I was happy with the end results of the black and gold, I went in and started working on the white and silver, and I did the same thing. I added some pattern vinyls, I added some luster dust from Diamonds and Dust, and then I got in on this same day some new chameleon powder from AB Designs Co. in the color Glazed. So I thought it was only appropriate to use that on a few squares on this one as well. Once those steps were all done and they were dry completely, they each got a coat of polyacrylic, and then they got a coat of epoxy. Actually, I think I ended up doing 2 coats of epoxy because I wanted them smooth for the striping step next. I just did 2 thinner coats though because I didn't want them to be super thick before we even got finished with the rest of it. And then we went in with the striping, and I really struggled with this one because my original thought was to line each individual square, vertical and horizontal, and then I was going to add some really thin pinstriping in the center of each square, and I didn't end up liking it. So I just went with, I laid down white vinyl first, and then I did a silver stripe right down the center of that, and I did all of the horizontal stripes first, and then I did all of the vertical stripes. So instead of laying all the white first and then all the silver next, I did all of the white and silver horizontal and then all of the white and silver vertically. And then when I did it vertically, I just trimmed it off right above the bottom line and right below the top line, so we just didn't have any crossing over. For the gold and black tumbler, I did the same thing. I just laid down the black textured vinyl, and then right over the top of that, we laid down a gold textured stripe in the center. So after the vinyl striping, I went in with one more coat of polyacrylic for both of these tumblers, and on the black one, it just got one more coat of epoxy, but on the white one, we epoxied until completely smooth for its final coats of epoxy, so it got 2 final coats of epoxy. Now, on the black and gold one, we're going to go in and add the fun zipper element. I had my zipper all measured to size, so I just lined it up, and be careful, it's really slippery against this epoxied surface, so I just took my UV resin from CCDIY and I added just a little bit, and then I held it in place and I set the lamp over it while I'm holding it in place just for about 30 seconds, sometimes maybe a minute, just to kind of make sure it was snug on there, not going to go anywhere while I finished doing the entire zipper. And then after that, I put it under the light for another 2 minutes to make sure it was fully cured and in place. Once I had that zipper all intact, I taped up the zipper pull so that the zipper pull was sticking straight out, and I just used some painter's tape to just kind of hold it in place, because when we give our final coats of epoxy, we don't want that zipper to get stuck in there. I also forgot to mention that before I applied this zipper, I did trim it. It had a wider black base where the zipper teeth were, and I just trimmed it with my scissors and made it so it wasn't as thick. So once I had that zipper pull all taped up, I went in and added some epoxy to the tumbler, and then I heated it, and then I went in with my silicone brush and put that epoxy right up against those teeth. I didn't want to use my fingers because I was afraid I would get too much epoxy on the actual teeth, so I just epoxied most of it and then just used that warm epoxy to push it up against those zipper teeth, and it worked perfectly, and it got 2 final coats of epoxy, and then this one was all done as well. So then now we're going to add the absolute final step to the white and silver. I'm going to be adding this beautiful chain. It's actually a purse strap to this tumbler. So I got the purse strap on Amazon. It's just a silver chain with white pearls and these little clasp things. I don't know what they're called exactly, but I got them on Amazon as well. So I will link that down in the description box. And I just took the little extender hook thing and added it with the same UV resin, did the same thing, and then they gave a place for this chain to attach to. Once the black and silver one was completely cured, I removed that blue painter's tape from the zipper pull, and it was completely finished as well. I absolutely love the way these came together. I've done a zipper one in the past, but I've really wanted to do one with the purse chain for a long time. So I finally just decided I was going to put them together because they kind of seemed similar to me, and I absolutely love the way they came together with all of the different elements for the design pattern with the glitter and the foils and the vinyls, and I just absolutely love them. I still am debating if I want to add a decal or a saying of some kind to the black and gold one, but for now it doesn't have one, and they are absolutely beautiful. I hope that in some way I have inspired you, and if I did inspire you, I would love for you to give me a thumbs up and give me a follow. I would love for you to join my group and share all of your fun designs as well. If any part of this tutorial has inspired you, I would love for you to give me a tag on any of your social media platforms because I would love to see what you created. As always, I will leave all of the information, where to find me, and all of the products that I use down in the description box, and I will see you next week. Thanks for stopping by.